You sheeple are still grazing on the hillside, while the shepherd of the goats is still sending wolves by way of the Vatican's Pontifical academies out, to frighten you to death and eat you. CNN ran the following blood covenant propaganda article today regarding the sad condition of the overpopulation of the earth. Interestingly, the article is by Jeffrey Sachs, the director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University. Please note however that the article does not state that Jeffrey Sachs is also a member of the Vatican's Pontifical Academy of Justice and Peace. As a member of the VPAJP Mr. Sachs fails to mention the article Transition from a Planned Economy to a Market Economy recently published on July 23, 2011 for the Vatican's Pontifical Academy of Justice and Peace. Question: was there a recent census in your neighborhood? Your city or town perhaps? Your state? Was a census taken of all the citizens in your country? Undoubtedly, the answer is no. This is a perfect example of a play on words, to invoke fear from the citizens, that's you and me the sheeple, and to demand action. Since Mr. Sachs, hey wait a minute, I wonder if he is related to Goldman Sachs? Here is the article. Mr. Sachs has the nerve to close with "We face an urgent task." Just 12 years after the arrival of the 6 billionth individual on the planet in 1999, humanity will greet the 7 billionth arrival this month. The world population continues its rapid ascent, with roughly 75 million more births than deaths each year. The consequences of a world crowded with 7 billion people are enormous. And unless the world population stabilizes during the 21st century, the consequences for humanity could be grim. A rising population puts enormous pressures on a planet already plunging into environmental catastrophe. Providing food, clothing, shelter, and energy for 7 billion people is a task of startling complexity. The world's agricultural systems are already dangerously overstretched. Rainforests are being cut down to make way for new farms, groundwater used for irrigation is being depleted, greenhouse gases emitted from agricultural activities are a major factor in global climate change, fertilizers are poisoning estuaries, and countless species are threatened with extinction as we grab their land and water, and destroy their habitats. The economic challenges are equally huge. Population is growing most rapidly in the world's poorest countries, often the places with the most fragile ecological conditions. Poor people tend to have many more children, for several reasons. Many live on farms, where children can be engaged in farm chores. Poor societies generally suffer from high rates of child mortality, leading parents to have more children as insurance against the possible deaths of children. Girls rarely make it to high school, and are often married at a very young age, leading to early childbearing. And modern methods of contraception may be unavailable or unaffordable. When poor families have 6 or 8 children, many or most of them are virtually condemned to a lifetime of poverty. Too often, parents lack the wherewithal to provide decent nutrition, health care and education to most of them. Illiteracy and ill health end up being passed from generation to generation. Governments in poor countries are unable to keep up, their budgets overmatched by the need for new schools, roads and other infrastructure. 2 centuries ago, the British thinker Thomas Robert Malthus famously warned that excessive population growth would cut short economic progress. That is a threat still with us today, but it is a warning, not an inevitable outcome. We face an urgent task, to adopt more sustainable technologies and lifestyles, and work harder to achieve a stable population of some 8 billion or so by mid-century, rather than the current path, which could easily carry the world to more than 10 billion people by 2100. An urgent task, eh? 200 years ago, he quotes a man, who had no way of conducting a global population census, to make such a claim regarding the Earth's inability to sustain her inhabitants. What an irony! With more than half of the Earth unpopulated, there is more than enough land on the outer Earth as well as the inner Earth, to feed the entire planets for years to come, and that includes her creatures. By this clear example of the manipulation of the world with a play on words and disinformation, perhaps Mr. Sachs and his colleagues should be sacked. Knowledge is power. Do me a favor, sheeple, stop drinking their Cokes, Pepsis and other drinks and foods that are dumbing you down. CNN is owned by Time Warner Broadcasting. The CEO of Time Warner is a President Emeritus of the Vatican's Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace. They are trying to kill our asses, and it is being done in plain sight. Wake up and fight back. In wisdom, peace and love. The sheeple are no longer asleep and the works of the goat will no longer be permitted. We love you. Peace be with thee.